Welcome back to the Pickleball Pursuit podcast. I'm your host, Lewis, here with my co-host, Justin, and we are here for episode 4. We're just going to keep doing this until we don't, I guess.
Yeah.
How you doing, Justin? You been good, man?
Yeah. Been great. Weather's been good. Actually been playing some recently, so that's nice. So I got to get some tournament prep in since we got the tournament next month. I've been feeling the pressure,
Yeah.
Gotta get dialed in.
I drilled the other day, and funny enough, I got my brother-in-law and sister to play for the first time, and in the middle of a game, my sister was like, "This is really fun," and I was like, "Ah, she's hooked."
Yeah, and she's hooked.
It's game over.
That's it.
She's hooked. She knows that I make YouTube videos, for pickleball, and she went and looked at my YouTube. And because I told her we make a podcast now, and she saw that we made, the first one was an hour and 7 minutes long, something very long. And she's like, "You talk about pickleball for an hour?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's
easily
nothing." Yeah,
I think they've all been over an hour.
Talking. Yeah,
which is kind of funny because we don't talk about how long do we want to make this? We just put together a list, and then it happens to be that so far 3 episodes in, we've been pretty consistent.
Yeah,
that's maybe a little long, but
yeah, I would agree. I think an hour is like the tops. So guys, we'll try to keep this one under an hour, unless you guys want the longer podcasts. My wife will kill me because she wants to watch a movie after we finish this podcast.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I gave her a glass of wine. I'm drinking a glass of wine tonight, so we're gonna have this could get crazy. Okay. If I drink wine, things happen. So drink responsibly, everyone. If you have a drinking problem, seek help. Drink responsibly.
Cheers. Well,
Cheers.
I think we're getting into a lot of gear today, at least at the beginning. So
yeah, we got a lot of gear talk. A lot of gear talk.
You take it away.
So this has been a long time coming. I want to talk about 2 pickleball bags that I've been using. Full disclosure, these are the only 2 pickleball bags that I've used, so take that with a massive grain of salt. But I absolutely love both of them. The first one I'm going to talk about is the one that's probably going to be better for the more serious players, and the second one is going to be geared more towards the, I guess, people who don't take pickleball quite as seriously but want a pickleball dedicated bag. The first one is the Maverix, I think they call it the Tour Bag. It's 70 liters, so it's massive. I would show it to you right now, but it literally would take up the entire screen and still not be in frame. It's a pretty massive bag. It fits, I could probably fit, without my shoes in it, I could fit 12 paddles in there easy. I think there's been people who put their kids in them. It's a big bag, but what I typically do with this bag is I put a minimum of 3 to 4 paddles, my small tripod, my camera with the lens on it, 6 or so balls, my shoes, grip tape, tungsten tape, pickleball effect, tungsten tape. You think he's going to give us a discount code for that?
No.
Damn it.
We can keep shouting them out, though.
Yeah, scratch that. Just kidding, Braden. You make the best stuff. I also put in there all of my camera batteries, snacks, electrolyte mix. You can fit just a ridiculous amount of things in this bag. I think it's $119 after code, Pursuit 15. I can't really dedicate an entire review to either of these bags just because I don't have the time to do it, but I can absolutely vouch for the quality and the usability of this bag from Maverix, who also makes excellent paddles as well. So the Maverix Tour Bag, very cool, very big, very it's a very good bag. That's really just all I can say. Lots of varies.
What is if you had to pick one thing, what's your favorite kind of unique feature on that bag, Maverix bag?
Oh, the best part about it is that there's 2 compartments that you can put paddles in. So they have a paddle sleeve on the main compartment, and then they have another, basically a most backpacks have like a laptop sleeve
Yeah.
case kind of behind the main compartment.
You're gonna have to put pictures up or something.
Yeah, it's a really big bag. I can fit 3 paddles in that like laptop sleeve, if you will, and then 4 in the regular paddle sleeve, and then probably like a couple more paddles in the main compartment, even when my shoes are in there.
So what's your least favorite thing about it?
Least favorite thing about it is the flap. So, which is also the like most important thing about tour bags is like you need them to flip open so you can see everything. But sometimes if you unzip it more than about a third of the way on each side, it just flips open. And if you have everything in the mesh liner on the flap side, it just like falls out. So that's really my only complaint about the bag. It's big. It's a little, if you don't want a big bag, this next bag that we're going to talk about is definitely the better choice for you. Do you have a preference on bags, or do you even use a dedicated pickleball bag?
Yeah, right now I'm actually using a pedal bag because I'm a person who I literally had 12 paddles in my bag yesterday when I went to the courts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I use this Babolat one. It's actually really nice. And it's like structured, stands up on its own. It's great. It's got a big kind of almost like a drawbridge style opening, so you can see everything in there. It's great. However, I did order the ADV pickleball bag that's supposed to come in July, which is going to be super nice.
I didn't know you were rich, bro. Sheesh.
Well, you gotta do what you gotta do. I had to, sell a few things, but
he got money over here.
So I fully expect that to take over. The main bag spot. It's supposed to be really nice. So looking forward to that.
This Maverix does stand up on its own, just so everyone knows, and it does have a fence clip. So 2 important things that I did not mention. Great bag. $119 after discount code Pursuit 15 if you are interested. Feel free to use anybody's code, but you can utilize mine if you like. So next, this is kind of the smaller duffel bag from Aniviia, which is kind of a lesser known pickleball company. They were one of the first paddles that I actually reviewed on funny enough, the Maverix was the first paddle I reviewed on YouTube, and then the Aniviia was the second paddle that I ever reviewed on YouTube. So the Aniviia is a duffel bag. I can probably fit 3, I think I've fit 6 paddles in there before with shoes, with
so it's not small.
Sleeve. No, it's not small, but the footprint is significantly smaller than the Maverix. Also had a sleeve of balls, grip tape.
Where do you get these balls and
keys.
Sleeves? What do you mean a sleeve?
Well,
of balls?
I mean the Franklin X40 sleeves, bro.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. I don't play with those marshmallows.
A case
I try not to.
balls. Well, I use those for all of my testings because they don't go out of round.
Yeah, that's true. Consistent. Yeah. They're
very soft. So I feel like if I can hit those harder, it's a better indicator of, they're the softest ball of the balls that people mainly play with. But anyway, to get back to the Aniviia bag, it can double as a duffel bag, so you sling it over your shoulder, or it can be it has straps for a backpack style of bag. You can hang it up on the fence. Really solid bag. It has like has a breathable compartment for the shoes, which is really nice, and that one comes in at $62 after discount code Pursuit 15. $62. And sorry, I was kind of turned away when I said that, but ridiculous value. I have a friend who bought one from Aniviia, and he just obsessed with it because he has 2 paddles, his shoes, a couple balls, and that's it. It's the perfect bag for him.
So what's your favorite feature?
Favorite feature for sure is just
Is it the price?
compactness. Well, the price is ridiculous. I mean, $62 for a very high quality pickleball bag. that holds everything most people would need. Is definitely the most alluring asset or alluring thing about the bag itself. But I do like how it has its own shoe compartment, and it has the paddle sleeve that you can just put your 2 or 3 paddles in there easily. You kind of have to stack them, if my fingertips are the head of the paddle, and you kind of have to like stack them alternatively, and then whenever you stack them outside of the paddle rack, you have to put the handle towards the shoe side. So you kind of do have to do a little bit of finagling, but you can fit a lot of crap in there for how small it is and how cheap it is.
So you kind of covered that may be your least favorite feature too. Just you have to be very specific feature, with how you pack it.
Yeah, you have to be very specific how you have to pack it. There's really nothing negative I can say about that bag. It's actually really solid. It's just small, so it's not going to be ideal for everyone. If you play in like tournaments and you need to bring a ton of shit, the Maverix is better. I'm sure there are maybe similar bags to the Maverix, but a lot of them are expensive, man. Like some of the ones I've seen are like $190, $250, they kind of range in there. ADV, for instance, it's like what, $275?
I don't know. Don't remember. I did the Kickstarter price.
Blocked it out of memory.
Yeah. Trying to think about it too much. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, you know about expensive bags because camera bags. Bags are like notoriously expensive.
I use Pelican case for primarily most of my equipment, and then what is that? Incase is the brand of the backpack I use. So I've had those for both 4 years or so, maybe. No, I've had the Pelican case for like 6 years, and I've had that for probably 4 years. So I mean, they last. I think that one was like $130 when I bought it, and the Pelican case is like what, $275. But those things literally can be run over by cars and be fine.
That's cool.
And they're watertight, waterproof. You can, bags are worth it if you are going to have them for an extended period of time. So if you expect to play pickleball for years and years and years, it might be smart to invest in, $120 to $300 bag. It's really just up to you and how those features align with your usage. So yeah. Anything else you want to say in terms of bags, man?
Nah, we can revisit when my ADV bag is delivered. Hopefully next month.
That one's supposed to be
That could
tight.
be cool to show. Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'm a person who has a very heavy, very full bag just because I like regularly have multiple prototypes, multiple demos, and then recently I've actually been carrying a little bit of like actual stock, so new paddles too. Yeah. So I have to carry a lot of stuff. But I'm not a person who puts my shoes in my bag, so there's that. Yeah. So I kind of free that. I either wear them or carry them.
I gave my wife the Aniviia one just because she doesn't use as much. But honestly, I go to the courts with like 8 paddles sometimes, and I just put them in a box, shipping box. And it would just be easier for me sometimes to just use that Aniviia bag. But I do like having, more room to put my camera and everything, my camera and tripod in there, which is super sick. So yeah, we're going to jump a little bit into Nerdtown.
All right.
Apparently you guys are loving Nerdtown. So all aboard the train to Nerdtown. We're going to talk a little bit about what you believe is the future of grit and or just the future of paddle surfaces to, generate spin. So, Justin, take it away, man. I've been talking too much.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to drink this wine.
I think you said it right, because it's not necessarily the future of grit, but the future of spin generation, whether that's around grit or, a different method. I'm actually going to read something real quick. And then... What?
People are going to laugh at me. I just took a massive drink of
Go
wine.
for it, man. You're an adult. Chug your wine. Who gives a shit? So anyway, check this out, okay? Yo, this is from the USAP Equipment Standards Manual. I want to lead with this, and then we can talk a little bit about what my thoughts are. This is in the rules for the equipment standards, right? 2E6, prohibited features. Listen to these. It's hilarious, actually. These are prohibited things. Anti-skid paint, or any paint texture with sand, rubber, or vinyl compounds or any material that causes additional spin. They literally say, or any material that causes additional spin. Okay, so that's one. Rubber and synthetic rubber, prohibited. Sandpaper characteristics, prohibited. Okay, let's see.
Don't all those like old wooden paddles have like virtually sandpaper
knurling?
Adhesive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of, but that might have been before this, equipment standards manual. This is the one that was released late last year. But sorry, I was reading more, but these aren't the spin ones. I wanted to read these because doesn't this cover every paddle that's currently on the market? And these are prohibited materials. Anti-skid paint or any paint textured with sand, rubber, or vinyl compounds. Think about all the paint grit paddles. That's them. Rubber or synthetic rubber. Okay, and we know who makes paddles that feel like that. And then sandpaper characteristics. A lot of what is currently peel ply could kind of be considered sandpaper characteristic, right? And then, of course, the testing for this, there is the roughness testing, and then they're actually coming with a more optical roughness scale that they're going to test the face of a paddle. Okay, so I just wanted to lead with all that because they specifically say in the rules you can't use any material that causes additional spin. So the kind of loophole right now is, it's crazy, right? The loophole right now is that the texture that comes on these carbon fiber paddles, fiberglass paddles, Kevlar paddles is what we talked about in the previous pod, which is the peel ply texture that's pressed into epoxy. Well, I think how that is allowed and not outlawed is because that's part of the manufacturing process for layups. In other words, like you have layers of whether it's fiberglass, carbon, Kevlar, or any combination, and then you lay them together, and what you do is then you impregnate them with epoxy, essentially soak them all, and then you press them together and they become one unit. That's a layup. Well, a peel ply is like an integral part of that process, right? So that is what I said in the last pod. It's like using parchment paper for your cookies. It's so that this stuff doesn't stick to the metal press that presses these items together. So you put the peel ply fabric over the top, it presses everything together, the epoxy cures, and then you peel that peel ply off, and then it leaves the imprint of fabric texture, which is what we know as grit, right? So anyway, I think that's kind of the loophole because any paddle manufacturer can claim that. If USAP was to try to uphold these laws and say, well, you can't add a texture that adds spin, and that's its only purpose, you'd be like, no, I'm not adding this. This is just the peel ply texture that's part of the natural manufacturing process of a carbon fiber layup, right? Sounds like a loophole. It basically is. I really wonder if that rule is going to get changed because it's just kind of silly. Like we all know that we like paddles that generate spin. We all know that generating spin is part of the game. We all know that it's a competitive advantage if you can have a paddle that can generate more spin, right? So I don't know. It just strikes me as silly. Of course, paddle manufacturers are going to try to make paddles that spin the ball more. Okay, all that out of the way. I feel like that was a giant disclaimer, right? Now let's talk about the future of grit or the future of spin generation. And here are my thoughts, and I'm going to assume for a minute that USAP is not going to uphold that ruling, and they will allow paddle manufacturers to manufacture surfaces specifically for generating spin. If that's the case, I do not think that epoxy peel ply is the end all be all. And this is nothing revolutionary to say. We all know this because it has just horrible durability. We've all had paddles that go smooth within 3 months, 6 months, etc. So while it works well when it's new, it's not its purpose. And of course, epoxy is brittle. It chips off and it goes away. If you could make a surface that could have longevity and still grab the ball, that would be pretty revolutionary. I think the only paddle company that's gotten close that I know of is Proton, of course, with their nanotech. And they're about to come out with some new paddles, so we'll see what they do. However, that to me strikes me as rubber or synthetic rubber, which is also outlawed. Diadem's original icon back in the day, to me, the paddle didn't play great, but it had an interesting surface that was kind of similar to the current Proton. So the technology's there, the potential is there. And if I had to give an answer of what I think the future of spin generation will be, it will be something along those lines, whether it's rubber or not rubber or silicone or something. It's going to be more of a smooth coating that is designed specifically for that. It's not just a byproduct of the manufacturing. and likely something that can be printed in full color. That would be my guess. I mean, look at equipment in any other sport, right? The branding is much louder and much more full coverage. Of course, outside of tennis, because strings are strings. But look at padel paddles, look at baseball bats, or, not pro, but of course the metal ones. They all have full color printing, a lot more branding. So I think that's we've talked about this a lot, and this is going to be a recurring theme, I think, that pickleball paddle technology right now is an immature technology. So as it matures, these designs are going to become more refined and more advanced. And I think that is the version of the mature, refined paddle, a paddle that can have full branding, can be any color, can really, be any shape, isn't just limited to these kind of cookie cutter things with materials that are borrowed from other industries. And, anyway, here I am on my soapbox again. This is maybe the third time. Episode 4, 3 times I've talked about this immature tech and borrowed materials and et cetera. So I think the
tech matured.
the company that's probably come closest to what we might consider the future is Proton, right? And however, there may be something out there that I don't know about. Of course, I don't know everything, and I'm no genius. So there may be something out there. Someone's listening to this, and they're like, "You idiot! You're missing on this one giant way that we could make lasting spin generation." So we shall see. It's not really a question I could answer. However, I expect that in the years to come, you're going to see less peel ply epoxy, more specific material surfaces in full color. And paint grit's not it either, if that needs to be said.
No. So I think anything going forward needs to be resistant to a plastic ball chipping it away. So it has to be something kind of pliable, similar to what Proton has. I think that's the most important thing going forward. I really hope that USAP allows for more paddles to actually use that manufacturing process, whether it be similar to what they do or something different entirely that also behaves in the same way. I think I talked about it in the first episode. I really liked the Proton's surface material. I thought it was exceptional, and the fact that it shows promise of being, at the very least, 50% more durable than
a step
typical.
Forward at the very least, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it probably is at the very least 2 to 3 times more durable than a typical peel ply grit texture. But I think the fact that it is pliable and resistant to being beaten down by a plastic ball is absolutely where we need to move forward to in paddle manufacturing. And I think that I would urge USAP to allow other companies to do this, because customers will be happier, paddles will last a little bit longer or a lot longer, and that is generally, apart from just curiosity in different paddles and brands, I would say the second reason why people change paddles the most is because the grit wears out rather quickly, especially in paint grit textures. Like it is, I felt one of my friends, Selkirk Lux, he's had for like 2 months. That thing was smooth as butter. It was completely smooth. Doesn't mean he can't generate spin. It's just going to be significantly less than what it was on day one. So that's kind of my thoughts.
I have a couple things that, as a manufacturer, right, I want to speak to. So I think there's this, it's not very common, but there's definitely this narrative out there that paddle manufacturers are, doing kind of what tech companies do, and they're doing like engineered obsolescence, making our paddles intentionally only last 6 months so that then you'll be motivated to buy a new one. That's not the case. The tech is just not good enough. Believe me, if I could make a paddle right now with the a spin surface that would last for 5 years, I would 100% do it immediately. So there's that. The other thing is a little tidbit I wanted to share. This is from one of the meetings that USAP had with manufacturers and companies. They talked about the new testing methodologies moving forward. They were specifically talking about power testing, but throughout the conversation, this got applied to spin testing as well. Essentially, they said that it would be smart, and I agree, by the way, to move to exit parameter testing, essentially testing the final result. And in the power testing, of course, that may be a rebound amount, a speed, right? A ball speed. In spin, that may be an RPM. But if they can test and regulate an exit amount, then there's no need to micromanage materials, right? So everything I just read you about, oh, you can't use this material, you can't use this material, you can't use this material. If they just got to the point where they said, this is the amount of spin that's allowed, anything over, not allowed, anything under is allowed, you can use whatever you want to get there and to make it last as long as you want, etc. That would actually open up a ton of innovation. It sounds like a bad thing because nobody wants like a hard cap on spin, of course, but it actually would probably, like I said, open up a ton of innovation and make paddles more unique from each other than they are right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, just a couple extra
What do
thoughts.
you think, in your opinion, this has nothing to do with, your, I guess, data. What do you think should be kind of the cap? It doesn't have to necessarily be a number, but it could be how much more spin or less spin than currently is available in paddles. Do you think
I
we
would
should
say
have?
more spin would be fine. Yeah. I don't know. This is just an arbitrary number. 35% more spin than the best spinning paddle that's out right now. And then maybe that's the cap, because then it gets kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because the wiffle ball with holes it flies really weird. I mean, if you ever watch like actual wiffle ball, the pitchers, the movement they can put on the ball. So if we get to the point where the speed and the spin are so high that the ball's going to move that much, it's going to fundamentally change the game. So I would say probably more than currently available, but not a vast majority more would be where I would feel comfortable personally.
I would agree pretty much exactly. I definitely think there's room for more spin. I think it would make the game more interesting and more athletic. I think that would allow for more interesting shots, like more shallow angled ATPs or more aggressive dinking would be very interesting to see, because that is a problem that currently plagues the professional game, which we're not going to talk a lot about, guys. Calm down. We saw your comments. We're not going to talk a lot about PPA. But dinking rallies, I mean, they're like 20, 30 dinks and, multiple points per game in PPA. And I think if, obviously I don't want short points. I like the hands battles. Love the firefights. So, I mean, I do think there's room for more spin.
Open up other ways to be aggressive outside of just hitting it harder.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think that I don't want just so much spin that I can sit on the kitchen line and you can hit one almost at my feet and I can hit a massive flick that's going to, with huge amounts of power that's still going to land inside the baseline. I don't think that's fair, But I do think there's room to slightly elevate the current cap on spin. And hot take, I think that power should be capped at Gen 2. I think that is a
hot take
spot to be. I don't know what exactly that metric is in terms of miles per hour or exit velocity, but I think Gen 2 is probably what should be capped for power. At the very least, I think the pros should have to play with Gen 2s, kind of like Major League Baseball plays with wooden bats. And this is not something that is a novel idea for me. I think Zane Navratil was the first person to say so. So don't think that I'm having this novel idea. I just agree with him. So,
okay. Yeah. All right. I think.
But yeah.
I repeat myself enough.
Do we need to leave Nerd Town?
Yeah. We might return. Right. But
we're going to return to a little bit of some gear talk. I have been testing a paddle that I actually really like. Not going to have enough time to dedicate a full review for, but it is the Swice. That is correct. Swice Swift Pro. It is an elongated carbon Kevlar paddle. Earmuffs, Justin. It is very reminiscent of the Mark II for $126 after discount code Pursuit. Just Pursuit. New company, so keep that in mind. Don't really know how their warranties work or how reputable they are, but James, the owner at Swice, has been in contact with me, and he seems like a really nice guy, very passionate about his paddle, and super excited for me to test it. I was skeptical, as I am with every elongated paddle from a new company, because let's be honest, the elongated shape paddle is literally like the most cookie cutter shape that is available on the market right now. Even more cookie cutter than people, they call it standard shape, but I wouldn't really say that is the standard that is most adopted by new companies. But elongated paddles in general are just, in my opinion, like the most boring paddle shape on the market. So if a new paddle company comes out with that, I'm always very skeptical. But this one performed very well, had great spin, pretty good power and pop, and still felt plush enough to be pretty easy to control. So interesting paddle from Swice. Not the best name, James. I'm sorry. But I get it. There's 1,000 pickleball companies right now. You gotta pick.
So nice. You need to say it twice.
Yeah.
So people can know what you said the first time.
Twice. Sounds like my 3-year-old nephew trying to say slice. But what's funny is they actually have Swice has a Slice Pro coming out, which is one that I'm very interested in, actually. It's the tight Kevlar weave that we've seen in the J2K or in the J2K, 7K, 3K Pro models from Honolulu Pickleball Company. So it should be a very interesting paddle. It is going to be a hybrid shape. I think it's a little bit shorter and a tiny bit wider than the J2K Pro. So interested to see how that plays. I do imagine that it's just going to be a clone of the J2K Pro. Justin, what is the weave called for the denser Kevlar?
1.5K.
1.5K
weave.
Yeah.
It's the amount of toes
in
the weave. So the smaller the number, the tighter the weave looks, of course, all the way up to 18K, which you see looks like the big boxes. So 1.5K is the tight Kevlar weave you see in the Pro models. And 3K is what you see on the rest of most Kevlar models that you see.
Yeah, sweet. Thank you very much for clarifying that. So yeah, Swice Pickleball is a company to potentially look out for in the pickleball scene. I'm always on the lookout for new companies. I feel like, honestly, since Mark, I feel like y'all are the last new company that I have reviewed that has been really, trying to level up the pickleball paddle scene. So I'm just going to talk you up because you're my co-host.
Thanks. If I wasn't here, I wouldn't say it.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I mean, because I have reviewed Honolulu Pickleball Company before you guys, quite a bit before y'all. And whenever Wesley reached out to me about the Kinetic, I was like, oh, a Kevlar paddle that is from a small company. This is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, hey, you got to talk about, you got to give, Honolulu Pickleball Company their flowers too. They're a new company, small company, and they've done awesome stuff. And I know that you're a big shill, so.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Honolulu Pickleball Company.
They make great stuff.
And, I'm worried people think I'm like a shill, but also
nah. As long as you're promoting something good, everyone can get over it. Because if they try it and realize, oh, he was right, whatever. Yeah. The moment you start, living on and promoting something that's bad or doesn't have great performance, then we'll start to question you. So
yeah, if I ever do that, I need you to come down to Baton Rouge and slap the shit out.
You'll just need to get a new co-host.
Yeah.
Got to hold you to some kind of standards.
Yeah. I think, y'all and Honolulu Pickleball Company are a perfect example of, two companies that I pushed really, really hard. I think was I the first reviewer of the Kinetic? I can't remember if I was.
I don't think you were the first, but that video hit like 15K views, which is pretty big for your channel at the time.
Yeah.
And you did a great video on it.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Tell me some more nice things about me.
Later.
But to kind of hammer home the thought that I was saying, those are two companies that I was like almost bullied, borderline bullied Braden from Pickleball Effect to review the J2K, because he was like, I don't like the way it looks. I was like, bro, this paddle is awesome. And like, he just wouldn't give it the time of the day. And then I was like, dude, just review it. Get Jam to send you one. He'll send you one. And sure enough, he sends him one. And then all of a sudden, he's like, oh, yeah, this paddle's pretty good. Makes a review about it. So not to say take credit for that. I don't want to sound like I'm
So
in his
Braden,
ear,
go ahead and send Lewis the monetization for that video.
Yeah, I will take.
We'll be waiting.
80% of your cut. Thank you, sir. No way he's gonna listen to this. But his co-host Kyle did challenge you to a fight. So
I just said in the comments I would lose that fight. His biceps are as big around as I am.
Does he
Buff
know
dude.
you used to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
I don't know, but Kyle's a good player too. Seen some clips,
Yeah.
and of course Braden's a good player. The second part of that, after Kyle challenged me to a fight, he said we should do a pickleball podcast tournament, which I think would be hilarious, really fun. We would 100% lose. We would lose super hard. There's a chance we could make it competitive with Eddie and John Q, but I think that Chris and Will would smack us, and Braden and Kyle would smack us too.
Chris and Will would annihilate us. Braden
I've seen
looks
those
like
guys
a
play.
really good player. Yeah, Braden looks like a really good player. Super solid. It's always interesting to see their thoughts on paddles, because they are, almost an entire duper point higher than me all across the board.
And a year ahead of you on reviewing, so
and a year ahead of me.
So a lot more paddles in their hands.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm glad that I differ in them in some instances, but it's nice to know that a lot of, like 60 to 70% of what I say and what they say are generally kind of in the same
I think it's even more than that.
opinion.
I think you guys are pretty aligned,
Yeah. They do a good job. They do a really good job. It's nice to see. I watch most of their reviews just because, it's nice to see what other people are saying. It's funny to see how different people view the same paddle. Like Isaac thought the J3K was like the most vibrating, like had so much vibration and sucked, and sucked is his term just because he didn't really love the shape of the paddle. It's not his ideal paddle. Not that he actually thought that the paddle sucked, but it's just like so funny to see different people's perspectives and thoughts on paddles, which kind of brings us to our next topic. But before we go into that, it's so interesting to see that. What I like in a paddle may not be what you like. So it's important to not take my reviews as truth. Just take them as another data point and utilize what I did like about the paddle and what I did not like about the paddle to make an educated decision when purchasing a paddle. So just don't take everything as truth, because everybody has a different or slightly different opinion, even if those are two very knowledgeable and trustworthy people. Chris and his brother are a perfect example, because they're both very knowledgeable. They played with tons of paddles, and they differ tremendously on what paddles they like. So it's very interesting to see. Yeah, absolutely. So getting into something that a lot of people disagree on is the feeling of a paddle in terms of its stiffness to softness rating. So lots of people think that I've seen a lot of people think that the J2K is a very firm paddle. I think it's a very soft paddle. We're not going to really get into why people differentiate those things, but we're going to get into, Justin, this is your topic again. We're going to go back to Nerd Town. I want you to tell me what... Choo-choo. I thought you were about to drop the MFer after that. What makes a paddle soft or stiff?
All right. You ready for another long non-answer?
Excited about this. The answer, nothing.
The answer is everything, actually. Yeah. So, hang on.
Can you give me three answers in one?
I'm going to give you no answers in one.
Okay.
But I'm going to use this as a prop because I happen to have this right here. This is one of our pallets I cut open. So that I could show you the different parts, right? So the answer is everything, right? The core, which is inside here, which in this case happens to be 15.5 millimeter polypropylene. Usually the thinner the core, the stiffer the paddle feels. The thicker the core, the softer it feels. Also, it can be made of different materials. The denser or stiffer the material, such as like an aramid core, a Nomex core, will make the paddle feel much stiffer. The softer, such as polypropylene, or even the next step to what Engage uses, which I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but I won't say because it's kind of their secret, is a little bit mushier, softer. That can make a paddle feel softer or springier, which can sometimes be a soft paddle that bounces back. Next, you have the facing material, right? So there are multiple different options. There's carbon, Kevlar carbon weave like this. There's fiberglass, etc. All those have...
What paddle is that?
This is the Mark 1.
From who?
Oh yeah, from Mark Pickleball. Yeah, this is half of a Mark 1. This is the Mark 1/2.
Yeah, this is the Mark 0.5.
Yeah, this is the Mark 0.65 or whatever it is.
I'm sorry to derail that. I just had to, throw on a running joke.
So yeah, I know, right? Like we don't talk about it enough. By the way, guys, no one seems to know who I am. I'm Justin. I'm the head of product development for Mark Pickleball. I'm not Mark or Mr. Mark. That's Wesley. Wesley's the owner. Wesley Mark.
Or
He's
Mr. Beard.
Mark.
Or Coach
Beard. It's fine. You can call me that until I shave. But so anyway, so then you get to the facing material. There are different materials. They can be physically more or less stiff, right? So that can make the paddle feel more or less stiff. And I won't go too into detail about that.
You said they can be more or less stiff, or did you say more or less thin?
Stiff.
Stiff, gotcha. Okay.
Usually a thicker layup is going to feel stiffer because it's going to have less give.
Gotcha,
if you have a thinner layup, less layers, it's going to feel softer. So then there's the construction method, right? Like this is a unibody, which means that the facing material runs all the way from the top of the paddle all the way down to the bottom. So it's all one piece, and it's also thermoformed, meaning there's like an edge seam hot pressed together, heat welded. That all those things make it stiffer, right? Because now you put tension on the face, it's tighter, it feels stiffer. However, if you don't have unibody, if the face stops here and then it's a separate handle piece, all of a sudden now this is a smaller piece of material and it can flex a little bit more at the throat, so it feels softer. If it's not thermoformed, it feels softer because there's not tension on the face, okay? So there's that. Then there's the handle inserts, which we talked about before. These are little PU pallets or inserts. These are hard, so they can feel in your hand like a little bit more vibration is passing through the hitting surface into your hand. So this will feel stiffer than a foam pallet, which we showed before. I still have this one sitting right here. This is a soft foam. Some paddles use this to shape the handle, and this does kill some of the vibration, right? So you have the perception that a paddle is less stiff if it's kind of vibrating less, or you get less, even if you just get a lower pitch of vibration. You'll be like, oh, it's so soft. But if a paddle feels tingy and kind of high pitch vibration, you're like, wow, it feels really stiff. A lot of that is just perception. They aren't always actually softer or stiffer. Fiberglass can be a perfect example. People usually think that fiberglass paddles are very stiff, very poppy. However, fiberglass deflects more than carbon fiber. So the pop actually comes from the ball deflecting the face and then shooting back off real fast. So that is technically softer, but it doesn't feel that way, right?
Right.
So a lot...
It's a
so feeling softer
basically.
stiff softer stiff is totally a feel thing, and it's influenced by every single part of the paddle, from every single material that you choose all the way down to the method you use to put it together. So there's my non-answer.
Great explanation. So for anyone who's just wondering, if there's two paddles of the same exact construction, let's just say Gen 2 as the umbrella term, there's a couple things that can affect the feel of the paddle. So one could feel very soft, one can feel very stiff, and that could be the face material, that could be the core, that could be a couple of other things. So just because they're of the same generation construction does not mean that they're going to feel the same in terms of plushness or stiffness.
There's even more. They can have exactly the same materials, exactly the same dimensions. The thermoforming process, you can control both the temperature and the time that a paddle is pressed for, and that changes the characteristics also. So you can't guess. If you see a paddle online and you read the specs, you may be able to ballpark how it might feel, but you can't guess how stiff or soft it's going to feel, or if there's going to be a specific amount of vibrations, because the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So you have to just hit with it to see. So again, kind of a non-answer, but yeah.
I assume
that's where reviewers come in handy, by the way.
Yeah. The longer and hotter the thermoforming process is, does that make it stiffer? Depends.
Well, I won't go into detail. I'll save that.
Sorry, secret sauce. My bad. My bad, dog. Sorry, dog. So, speaking of just kind of face materials in general and different things that affect the feel of a paddle, we're going to talk a little bit about the Shogun, more specifically the titanium face, and whether or not I think that titanium is the next big trend. So, if you did not see, I did the Shogun review last week. Really like that paddle. I genuinely think that's going to be many people's, at the very least, contender for paddle of the year. It feels phenomenal, plays excellent, and looks
awesome,
incredible. Just typical bread and butter fashion, making a good paddle that looks even better than it plays. Titanium weave was clearly something I was extremely skeptical about. Exactly like I was about Kevlar, even more. I was skeptical of Kevlar, but I was exponentially more skeptical of titanium.
I agree
and
with you.
This almost immediately after playing with it, I was like, oh, damn, this feels fantastic. It's slightly more plush and bouncy than your typical Gen 2 carbon fiber or Kevlar facing material, but it's not like the bouncy feel that you get from the Paddle Tech or the Engage. It's a totally different feel. It's a little smoother, and you don't feel like it squishes down quite as much. It's more of like a soft...
It's like a dampened feel, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Because it kind of dampens the vibrations.
Yes, that's a perfect adjective. Which made me think, like, damn, like, this feels phenomenal. I would love to see what this feels like in a standard or hybrid shape paddle, which killed me because I listened to Chris's podcast. He said that verbatim the day before I had my review published. I was like, oh, everybody's gonna think I stole that from him, but it was we basically said the same exact thing. Like, I would love to see what a titanium titanium carbon fiber weave feels like in a standard or hybrid shape paddle. I think for a standard shape paddle, especially because you really love those soft, plush, control feeling paddles. But what's interesting, not necessarily weird, about the titanium carbon fiber weave, I keep wanting to say Kevlar, is that although it's very soft, it provides quite a bit of pop. So it's not like your traditional softness, but when you kind of think about it, it makes sense, because just as you talked about fiberglass feels firmer, but what it's doing is it's just compressing more and then springing back onto the ball. So I wonder if that is the same exact feel and thing that is happening with the titanium face that is happening with the fiberglass face. However, the feel is reversed. It feels softer, but still provides quite a bit of pop. So
you think it's the next thing? Do you think we're going to see other companies come out with their titanium weave?
Let
me ask this again. Of course, we're going to see like catalog brands with copycat brands, et cetera, come out with it. That's no doubt. Are we going to see other large brands, innovative brands, or brands who do their kind of own R&D come out with titanium-based paddles?
Define a large brand. I am certain.
Yeah, maybe not large, but what I mean is actual companies like who are what we would call like the innovators, companies that are trying to be here in the market to stay, aren't just here to be like, oh, what's the next thing? Let me make a quick buck. What I would call like a catalog company.
No, I genuinely think that titanium. Here's the thing, and you can say this exactly about Kevlar 6 months ago. There are companies that you wouldn't think that probably would have gone to Kevlar that did. A lot of them,
That's
actually. And almost everybody, apart from, Selkirk and Yola and who else is gigantic? Maybe like Paddletech.
Paddletech, really Engage, yeah.
Yeah, apart from the core large companies, almost everybody's utilizing Kevlar now in some shape. Whether it's the blend or a fully Kevlar. So I do think that apart from those massive brands, and most of them, not most of them, one of them, in my opinion, does not really innovate. I do think that a lot of the other brands who are just that one peg down and lower will start to implement titanium carbon fiber weaves in their paddles. And
interesting.
I'm excited about it, truthfully, because we were stuck on carbon fiber and fiberglass, or really it was fiberglass for a long time, then carbon fiber, then Kevlar came around and got really big, which is the current state we're living in. I would love to see some other, surface materials, and more specifically, I would love to see, like we talked earlier, different types of materials that generate spin. So I do think titanium is here to stay, and it will be implemented probably pretty heavily in the next, 2 to 6 months, similar to what we're seeing with Kevlar.
All right, we'll check back and see if you're right.
You've known about the titanium for a while, right? Yeah.
Since
can you shed any light on that? Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah, you don't
what
have to
I told you earlier.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I told you earlier. We had the opportunity to use it. The material came up as available.
Mm-hmm.
The main reason that I didn't want to at the time.
Just how long it's been available, or
Well, it was new at that time. There was, so let's say, October, November 2023. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was like when it was first kind of coming up as an option.
And people were just shopping it around to manufacturers. Is that kind of how it goes?
That's kind of how it works. There's kind of a couple levels of R&D. A lot of the R&D is done actually in Asia by the factories who make the paddles. And then if they come up with something new or they source a new material, then they will shop that around and they'll go to paddle brands, right, and say, hey, we have this new thing. We can make your paddles with this new surface, et cetera, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Are you ready to order some samples, et cetera, et cetera? So there's that side of the R&D, and people kind of vilify that, but that's good. I mean, they're the paddle manufacturers, and R&D is R&D. So if it's an improvement in technology, then that's awesome. The reason why I think it gets vilified is because there's no real IP with that, if it's come up with, and that makes sense because that's their business, right? They are selling to the brands. So if they come up with something new and interesting, they aren't going to keep it private for one brand. It's going to be sold to everyone, so it could flood the market fairly soon. But yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing that, the Asian factories themselves R&D. And then there's the other side. There's the paddle brands who, not all of them, but most of them do our own R&D also. And then take those ideas to the manufacturer, and they may have never heard of it. And we say, well, what's it going to take to make it, And hopefully you have good communication, a good partner with your manufacturer. You can get things made, try things out, kind of move the needle forward. That's my job, so to try to make that happen for Mark.
Sweet.
Anyway, so I'll be interested to see about titanium. We didn't jump on it then, and I don't think we're going to now. But the Shogun sells well, but Bread and Butter's awesome. They have great marketing. If we had made a titanium weave paddle, might have come out and people might have laughed us out of the building. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's a good.
It's hard to say.
Yeah. That is,
So that's a credit to them. They have the reputation.
There's a few companies that separate themselves to be better. Well, I would really say Bread and Butter is like the one company that I can look at and be like, yeah, they do this head and shoulders above anyone else. And it's
fun marketing.
Really just like they're fun they're fun marketing and just general aesthetics and design.
Yeah, I agree.
So they separate themselves completely from the entire market, and they make good paddles. Which is,
they do. They do.
It's easy to make. Well, it's not easy to make. It's easier to make good looking products that don't perform well than it is to make really good looking products that perform really good. And that's what Bread and Butter does. So speaking of really good products, we're going to move on to our Mark giveaway. So 2 episodes ago, we decided we were going to, Mark decided that they would allow us to do one giveaway of a Mark paddle of your choosing. And we are going to go ahead and just pick a winner live, and it is...
Oh, you're picking it right now?
Yeah, at Carzy, C-A-R-Z-Y, Monkey 87. You are the winner of the Mark paddle giveaway. Congratulations. His comment was, really want to try out a Mark pickleball paddle. The new color scheme is fire. I would completely agree. I was pretty much said this verbatim in my review. I was skeptical about the rebrand, but was very impressed to see it. So y'all did a great job. Carzy Monkey 87, I will be reaching out to you via email. Congratulations on winning your paddle.
Not to be confused with Crazy Monkey 87.
Not to be confused. Yeah, not to be fused. That kind of completes pretty much all of our topics today. We have a couple of questions. Justin, do you have those questions?
I'm going to make an executive decision. Yeah. I was going to say, I'm actually going to cut some of these questions.
Yeah, cut
beginning
some.
Of this pod, we said we're going to, keep it to an hour. We're going to do 2. How about that?
Let's do 2 questions. Yeah. We got a bunch of really good questions. Thank you all so much for your questions.
We'll still hang on to these, by the way.
Yeah. We genuinely love to read y'all's feedback. It has been mind-blowing how much people have been responding to this podcast. And I owe a lot of that to Justin because his expertise and my enthusiasm. Thank you, one of the commenters. We all know who the smart one is on this podcast. That shit had me rolling. But his expertise and my enthusiasm.
A quick story.
Pair. Yeah.
Let me tell you this. This is pretty funny. So, the comment said, by the way, love your expertise and enthusiasm. It's a great combination. Or it's a great combination of expertise and enthusiasm. And then Lewis sent me the comment and said that one stung. And, dude, it was so much worse in my head. This is going to come off really bad, but I thought that comment was referring to just me. I thought they loved just my expertise and enthusiasm, which would have stung even more. So I think it's even worse than you're thinking.
Well, shit, maybe he was. Damn. If you are the commenter of that expertise and enthusiasm, please clarify. I hope at the very least I was the enthusiastic portion of that. If not,
that had me cracking up too.
Yeah, sounds like you have your own podcast, bro.
Yeah.
I'll let you roll with it.
So,
Oh,
by the
man.
way, someone asked how they can, get their questions on the Q&A. Just comment them on the YouTube video. I mean, we're not popular. There's not that many comments, so we can read them. You can also send them to Lewis on Instagram if you prefer to do that, at Pickleball
Or
Pursuit.
you can follow Justin _ Mark
Yeah,
PB.
Mark PB, yeah.
Yeah,
But
Justin
don't worry about it. I
_
don't
Mark
even
PB.
post anything. I'm just
No,
there
no.
to...
Blow this dude's Instagram up. I want him to be locked in on his phone 24/7.
I'm going to feel obligated to post stuff now.
Yeah.
I'll post stuff
You have
eventually.
to.
I got to post about
Yeah.
our tournament at least,
Yeah.
Okay, all right, here we go. First question. I think this is a repeat questioner, actually. Robert Benjamin, 5230. Okay. Is there any way for us nerds to determine the swing weight at home without specific expensive apparatus? No.
Before you start. Oh, never
Okay.
mind. Damn it. I was just going to say this
you just wanna say
before
no?
before I bought my graffiti, I was like doing math equations, trying to figure this out, like putting like balance point and length and trying to figure out how the hell can I figure this out. And then I was like, I'm just buying a graffiti. Like it's
Yeah, so
I'm a reviewer.
clarification.
It's $250. I'm getting it.
Yeah, perfect. That's what I was going to say. You said specific expensive apparatus, so expensive obviously is a relative term. Swing weight machines like for tennis rackets are insanely expensive. We're talking thousands of dollars. So the one that we use, that all the pickleball reviewers use, is a Graffiti SW1, and it's only like $300 with all the attachments. So I say only, like I said, expensive is relative. So, and if you don't have an actual use for it, if you don't have a ton of paddles, I can see how that is expensive, but maybe you can go in with all your play group and buy one between 5 of you, and you can all use it.
I would arguably say that a graffiti machine for a very serious pickleballer is a better investment than a ADV pickleball bag.
Oh.
I would just go
You're
ahead
trying to
and
burn
say
me.
that.
Yes,
No,
I got
not trying to
both,
burn you. I'm just
so
trying
we're
to
all
say,
good.
a $300 bag is not as good of an investment, in my opinion, than knowing your paddle metrics and how you can modify your paddle to enhance your play. So that's just
I'll
my
disagree.
opinion. Yeah.
I think
Oh,
I'll disagree
God.
because
The paddle manufacturer himself.
no. Here's
would
why.
disagree.
If it's the same dollars, right? It's the same 300. We'll just call it that.
Mm-hmm.
You use the bag every time you play, and you use it for many purposes. You're in and out of it constantly. Once you have a swing weight machine, if I wasn't making prototypes and stuff, how often would you use it? If you weren't reviewing paddles, how often would you use it? Once you get your
Every
setup
time
right,
I got a new paddle.
every
I
time you get a
guess.
new paddle, which
Yeah.
for a normal person is what? Every 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And then you might use it a few times as you dial it in. So anyway, I'm just saying I'm right and you're wrong. Anyway, let's move on. So
This dude's a
the next
hater.
question.
Hater.
Next question. Oh, this one's for me, but I'll just read the question anyway. Matthew Rutledge 2922. Got to answer
Matthew
this one. 'Cause I told him.
Rutledge, real quick. You leave some banger comments. You crack me up, man. I've
Oh,
been seeing your
Okay,
comments
good.
since almost day one. So thank you for your support, man.
Oh,
Really
hey,
appreciate
I'm
that.
glad. I'm glad we got a good one then.
Yeah.
I said specifically that I would answer this in the comments, so I just wanted to speak to it. The question is, Justin, how hard is it to sit there and hear praise for the enemy's paddles? That's one question. Second question is, have you had any moments when you're about to share something and think, I can't share Mark's proprietary information? So I'll answer the second one first. No, I don't have any moments where I'm about to step over the line and share proprietary information. We have pretty clear lines internally, and honestly, most of the guidelines or whatever you want to call it are probably set by me. I'm kind of the one who may be the most strict about sharing or not sharing. So it's kind of my own internal compass, so it's not that hard to, not overstep it. I like to share. I think it's fun to give people a peek, behind the curtain, so to speak. And a lot of the stuff isn't that secret, to be honest. It's just that no one's been told about it before. But of course, there are things that I won't share, and then I would love to share when it's time, and I will at that time. But anyway, so no, that's not hard for me. Comes pretty naturally, I guess. So second question, how hard is it for me to sit here and hear praises for the enemy's paddles? It's not hard at all, because to clarify, I don't view any other paddle companies as enemies, right? ultimately, as like an R&D person, as a product developer, I appreciate good products, period. So whether they're made by us or another company, I appreciate it. And I'm also a person who believes in being thoroughly critical and thoroughly honest, right? So if it is shit, I'll say it, right? At the same time, I like to keep things pretty professional. So I would generally keep my public opinions about something that doesn't live up to my standards to myself. And the second part of that is I don't see these other paddle companies as enemies because the pickleball market is just exploding and there's more than enough room, especially when we're talking about other smaller companies. I actually think it's quite the opposite. I think that, a rising tide lifts all ships. And if we, are cordial with each other and we push each other to improve and, make better paddles, then it's only better for the market. It's only better for the consumers. It's better for the game, so not only that, I empathize with them. I know exactly what they're going through. I know what it's like to be a small company in these markets. So I couldn't dislike them unless they were, somehow like rude or did something, uncouth. But I actually genuinely like most of the owners and people who work for these small companies. They're all good people trying to make good stuff for the most part. So yeah, not hard at all to sit here and listen to other paddles or even talk about other paddles. I've been more than willing to praise other paddles. And also, yeah, not hard to keep our secret stuff secret because I'm excited about it. And like I talked about earlier, IP is really kind of iffy in the pickleball space. So I want to bring something new and exciting. But in order for me to be able to do that, I got to keep it close to the chest before, potentially someone else takes it and runs with it. So anyway, another long-winded answer.
Great work. You are a moral compass. We're done. So
Okay,
we're going to go ahead real quickly, just talk about what's next. Sorry, I forgot to tell you this. Next will not be the Paddle of the Year top 5. I've been having a excessively challenging time narrowing it down to 5. So that'll be next week. This week will be the top 5 paddles under $100. So be on the lookout for that. And that's it, man. Justin, you got anything else, dude? You want to say anything nice about me before we leave?
You look great. Your hat's very cute.
Gosh.
And you're looking moody as always in your red lighting.
Calm down. My wife is in the other room, dude.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Chat to us in the comments. Leave us some questions.
Yeah, you did the outro. Yes. This is the Pickleball Pursuit podcast. We'll see you on the next one.